The third element that we work with as coaches is the fat loss part of the equation. And we covered strength, we covered size, and fat loss is pretty much completes the trifecta of the most common training goals we have with clients. Now, normally that losing fat will go along with either building size or strength. So most people have two of these three goals. Now, should women do it differently than men? Well, you probably know the answer, yes, but no. I mean, I'm boring like that. I can't make up my mind. It evolves all the time. But really, there are some differences. First of all, women tend to not be as negatively affected by cardiovascular exercise than men, either in the form of stress management or losing muscle mass, which goes along really. And oftentimes they do need more cardiovascular system to lose lower body fat. The reason is that most women have less vascularization in their lower body. So they have less capillaries, blood flow is a little bit less efficient in their lower body than men. So because of that, the mobilization of fat in the lower body is harder on the average women, not all of them, but on the average woman than on the average guy. That's why, typically speaking, guys will tend to store fat more here, women store fat more here. Yes, estrogen is part of the process or the reason, but vascularization of the lower body is also playing a role. So that's why doing exercises that forces more blood flow toward the lower body will probably be necessary for women to maximize fat loss. I mean, typical female client, they go on a fat loss diet, program, and they will lose fat very easily from here to here. Lower body fat will go down, but at a much slower pace, and that's the last thing to go. Now, if they include work that increases capillarization of the lower body, the fat loss process in the lower body might be sped up. Now, I'm talking about exercises, for example, like prowler pushing. Prowler pushing is probably the best tool for a female to lose lower body fat because it's intense enough to force tremendous amount of blood flow toward that region. I mean, cardiovascular exercises will increase blood flow a bit, but it's not like that hard blood pushing and rushing to that muscle. Whereas if you are producing lactic acid, if you are sending blood, because if you're producing lactic acid, you need blood to come inside that muscle to clear that lactic acid out. And if you're working intensely, you are also shuttling more blood toward that muscle. So the prowler pushing is intense enough to create that effect, like creating lactic acid production in the muscle, which increases blood flow, and eventually in the long run, it's not automatic, it takes a while. You will build new capillaries because the body adapts. It knows it needs to increase blood flow to that region, so it will build up new capillaries. And over time, that will give you the pipes to be able to send more fats to the bloodstream, increasing fat mobilization. I mean, studies have shown that an area that is more vascularized, you will lose fat more in that region more easily. So prowler pushing, assault bike, resistance bike, anything where you work fairly intensely with the lower body will actually help women. It also helps guys, but normally they don't have as much problems with lower body fat than women. So that would be the main difference. The other difference is that women can use the lifting program a bit more than men to lose fat. By that I mean like doing a bit higher reps, shortening the rest intervals, doing circuits, stuff like that. Women can actually gain muscle from that kind of training because they respond really well to lactic acid production because they are more resistant to it. So it will not affect their training intensity as much as men. If a guy is put on the same program, you will have to decrease the weight so much that that kind of workout might actually have bad effects on muscle mass. So that's why you look at a CrossFit group, for example, and you will see most of the advanced or experienced women having very muscular bodies. And you will have, well, of course you have some guys who are muscular, but it's probably because they're coming from a background where they did lots of strength training before, but they did not build that much muscle from CrossFit itself. But women will build lots of muscle from CrossFit because their body is more well adapted to that. So that's the main difference when it comes to their training. So they can actually use the training, the lifting program itself to lose body fat. I don't recommend that men do that. With men, normally I prefer to use a training session to maintain muscle mass and gain strength while trying to lose fat. And then use diet and energy systems work to lose the fat. So that would be the two main differences when it comes to the sexes. But there are it's still minor differences. I wouldn't be too worried about it. Like if you work hard and you cover all your bases, you will get results. But if you want the next step and you're a woman, then you might consider these options. Prowler pushing, resistance bike, sprinting will work great. Especially 200, 400 meter sprints were great for women. And then shortening the rest intervals and increasing the reps a bit when doing strength training will go a long way to improve your result as a woman.